This video was made on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. The Swinburne Adobe Hub pays respect to elders past, present, and emerging, and acknowledges that sovereignty was never ceded. Before we get started, please make sure you're signed in to the Adobe Creative Cloud using your Swinburne ID and have Adobe Audition installed and open. This video is part 3 of the Audition series. We're going to learn how to assemble our podcast. Let's start by adding our recordings into the podcast template. Head to the Files panel and drag one.copy into the top track. This is a recording of an interview. Next, drag outro.copy onto the second track. This is the outro recording that we edited in the last video. Now that we've imported our files, let's take a look around the editor panel. Click and drag on the sides of the panel to extend it out if you need more editing space, and use the slider at the top to zoom in and out of the recording. We have some editing tools in the ribbon just above the panel. Hover your mouse over each icon to learn what they are. When a tool is selected, it will be highlighted in blue. The two we'll be using most are the Move tool, which moves clips around the timeline, and the Razor tool, which separates clips into pieces. Let's have a listen to our podcast so far. Right now, all of our clips are playing at the same time, so we'll need to move them around. Select the Move tool and drag the outro.copy file across until it starts at the end of the interview. Next, let's try adding some music. Files 3 to 6 are music files, so add them in and listen to see which ones you like. Once you've chosen one, you can delete the others by clicking on the file and using the Delete key on your keyboard. Next, let's try cutting some unwanted audio out of a recording. Select the Razor tool, then click at the start of the section that you want to remove. Do the same at the end of the section. You now have a separate clip which can be deleted. You can make as many cuts as you need to edit the podcast down to the length you want. The interview recorded in the one.copy file talks about bringing the most enticing or interesting section of the podcast to the very beginning to engage the audience from the get-go. Let's see how we can do this. First, pause the video here and choose a section of the recording that you want at the start. Once you've chosen, use the Time Selection tool to highlight the section. Then, right-click and choose Copy, or use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl or Command-C. Now we're ready to bring that clip to the beginning. Click where you want the copied audio to begin, then right-click and paste, or use the shortcut Ctrl or Command-V. Nice work! Now we have an exciting intro to get people's attention. Our next step is to make our music track fade in and out for a smooth transition into the interview. First, select the music clip. You'll see some grey boxes. If you can't see them, try zooming in on the clip. Click on a box and drag it into the center of the clip. A yellow line will appear to show you where the fade is applied. Repeat for the other box. Now the music will fade in and out. The next thing we might try is to edit out some of the ums, sighs, or other speech errors in the recording. To do this, we'll be using the volume bar. Just below the waveform of the recording, you'll see a thin yellow line. This represents the volume. By clicking and dragging on this line, we can create a keyframe which can be used to set the volume at that point in time. Drag downwards to lower the volume at the start of an then drag it back up at the end of it. Be careful when doing this. Removing too much can make speech sound unnatural, so listen through as you work to avoid over-editing. The last thing we're going to do is match the loudness of our audio files. You might have noticed that the volume of the tracks are different, which can be annoying for a listener. Head over to the Effects menu and choose Match Loudness. Then, drag and drop your files into the Effect panel. Lastly, select Run to complete the process. Great work! Our podcast has been assembled with interviews and music, the ums and ahs have been removed, and the volume has been matched. That's a lot for one video. It's a good idea to save here so that you don't lose any of your hard work. Thanks so much for watching. You're all ready to start making with Adobe Audition. Part 4 will be the last video in this series. We'll learn how to record directly into Audition and how to export our podcast. If you need help, there's plenty of resources at swi.nu/adobe-hub, or get in touch at adobe-hub at swi.nu.edu.au. We also have one-on-one sessions available. The booking link is in the description. Don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials and comment what you want to learn next.